Okay, how's it going, folks? We've got a sloppy Saturdays game here. We've got Naysmith playing the Chaos Lord, and we've got Sostenes. Sostenes. Fuck knows. Can't speak Spanish. It's Braz. I'm gonna be playing as Eldar, Farseer. And we're on this jungle reskin of Calderis Desert, which honestly I gotta say probably quite a favourable map for the Eldar. Let's talk about defining features. Very wide open area in the middle, lack of cover, very powerful for setup teams, and a highly defensible natural generator farm position for both players.
Generator operational.
Now typically, Chaos will want to exert a lot of pressure in Tier 1 utilising Aspiring Champion Heretics, which will actually dominate the Banshees cost for cost in melee combat very easily. Default Heretics not so much, but yeah, definitely the Aspiring Champion ones. And part of doing this very aggressive early game play with the dual Aspiring Champions is pressuring the enemy gen farm. Eldar, on the other hand, will want to ride out their Tier 1 with Shuriken weapon teams and upgraded squads and a lot of power expenditure. Get to Tier 2. Fight back with a Wraith Lord. Maybe some Warp Spiders. And again, a lot of upgrades. Heretics, of course, don't scale past Tier 1. The Eldar infantry do. So you see, this squad right now, it's got the Aspiring Champion nice and early. This is very typical. Doesn't get any better in Tier 2 than it already is. The Eldar squads, the Banshees and the Guardians, they do. So that's where the sort of meta differentiation comes in for this matchup. Shuriken is already out in the field. Pretty good against the Chaos Lord. Generally, you only want to be hesitant about this if you're facing the Chaos Sorcerer. I mean, the Chaos Lord can't be suppressed, and he does have the speed boosting worship, so if he's under worship, he can just fling himself into this shuriken without too much worry, and that's why typically the Eldar will actually go for 2 shurikens. We might even see a Doombringer, we might see Mind War. Both are good tools to help try and focus down the Chaos Lord before he can actually get into melee with that shuriken. But the fact that we're on such a map that makes it very difficult to gen bash, it's definitely advantageous to the Eldar. Sostenes. Guide going down on the shuriken there, so that's doing 30% extra damage, and that is going to be one wrecked Chaos Lord. Very greedy play from Naysmith there. I mean, what would he have achieved tying up the Guardian weapons team in that instance? You know, the Chaos Lord does such little damage. It's just not clear the whole time the Farseer is there. I just don't like the play by Naysmith. I don't think the Chaos Lord should have even committed to that. This, however, is a good situation for Naysmith. As I said, even upgraded, the Howling Banshees are not cost effective at all against the Heretics. Not only are they not cost effective, they just lose. They straight up lose. Now this is a dodgy situation, but Sostenes right now throwing the grenade preemptively, a sign that we're in a lower tier of skill right here. If this Heretic squad was forced off from that position, it would have had to retreat down here and could have been blown up by 1 grenade on retreat. Granted, it wouldn't have been very easy to force them off, but you had a Farseer and you had the Guardian squad to focus them down. They were Heretics without an AC, so they're very squishy. I think it could have been done. Either way, we're going to have Raptors on the field right now. Raptors are an interesting one, man. I feel like... How long has it been since we've seen Raptors on the channel? It feels like it's been months upon months since we've seen these guys really fallen out of the meta recently. I remember a time when Raptors were said to be just completely no-brainer against Eldar, and it is a funny one because obviously Raptors, they're terribly cost ineffective against Banshees with their power melee and just being superior to them, but the thing is, you don't just have Raptors fighting Banshees alone. You got Raptors, and then you got double Aspiring Champion Heretics, typically. and all that melee can overwhelm a single Banshee squad with ease. And they scale pretty well. If you get tier 2 Raptors and you land your jump onto the aspiring champion, not the aspiring champion, the Exarch Banshees, and then you hit them with Demonic Fury to send the Exarch flying, the Raptors will actually quite easily beat tier 2 Banshees. Can you believe it? So they scale well. But yeah, we don't see them in the meta very often. We'll see how they do in this match. A little bit of a misplay there by Naysmith, jumping on the frontal shuriken, not realizing there was another one behind, which will suppress. And that is a pretty juicy grenade, but it's not as juicy as the fact that the Banshees just got taken out by the combination of CSM and aspiring champion Heretics. A very sneaky flank here from another Heretic squad, but unfortunately their support has been forced off. So the frontal shuriken will just reset up, force them off, and it is a happy time for Sostenes. Sostenes already going tier 2. I wonder if they will want to replace their Banshees in tier 2. Given that they're fighting Raptors, it probably would be a good idea, but you don't have to. Could focus on counter-initiating with a Wraith Lord, but that only works for so long. Eventually, obviously, there will become a time when there is critical AV on the field, and then suddenly counter-initiating with a Wraith Lord is going to be a little bit questionable. We do have quadruple gens right now for Sostenes, dropping this one down here on the contested. So probably indicates that they are indeed going to be going for a fast Wraith Lord. You could follow that up with the Levitation Blade, the Grab Blade, on the Farseer. Gives you more counter-initiation potential. And you could get an Autarch as well, so you know, you have a few melee options here without having to replace the Banshees. Sostenes has a lot of requisition, so I feel like replacing the Banshees wouldn't necessarily be a terrible idea.
New warriors are available to join the battle.
Okay, this I do not recommend. So he's going for a Falcon. Now, I mean, I really couldn't think of much worse choice. Specifically against Chaos, the Falcon is questionable because Plague Marines can snare it and then combo with the Raptors, which is pretty deadly. That combo alone should be sufficient to kill the Falcon. The fact that Raptors are already in the field is very worrying for any Falcon, because the Aspiring Champion does heavy melee, right? So normally the transport is fast enough to kite, but the Falcon is the slowest transport because of the fact it does the highest damage and actually does anti-vehicle damage. Slow it with a Plague Marine Snare, jump it with your Aspiring Champion Raptors, and then you can beat it to death with the Raptors and just kill it super fast. This is made even worse by the fact that the Chaos Lord has Speed Worship, which can enable the Plague Marines to actually quite easily capture the Falcon. We'll see how it does. I mean, he used it there to get the Shuriken out of melee from the Heretics. Looks like it's going to get tied up in melee again. It's kind of an atrocious fight though for Naysmith. Probably not worth it. Needs to retreat these guys. Oh, he's not realised he's not retreated them. He obviously thought he had there, but he hasn't. So they're going to wipe. Not a big deal though, they're only default Heretics. I was going to say, Sostenes could consider going for an Autarch now, because he needs some form of melee to tie up any Plague Marines that come out onto the field, but he is in fact going to be replacing his Howling Banshees, which is also fine. The Howling Banshees are more expensive, but obviously they do more damage. They're a bit of a better independent combat unit. But the Autarch's faster, and the Autarch is a force multiplier. If you did not know, the Autarch provides a buff to nearby troops that makes them passively take less damage from ranged. I guess that's not too big of a deal though, because there's not too much range damage on the field right now. CSM, Plague Marines, no Combi Bolter even on the Chaos Lord. Chaos Lord kind of just relegated to capping duty. I'm not sure that's the best use of the Chaos Lord here. Feels like Drain Life and a Combi Bolter could be pretty damn helpful. Shit, you could even use Let the Galaxy Burn against the double Shuriken Cannons. But let's see, this looks like a pretty bad engagement here for Naysmith. He did have to push up and eat that suppression so that he could ensure his Raptors got onto the rear Shuriken. One of the problems for Naysmith right now is that he doesn't have an aspiring champion on his Raptors, so this is severely limiting his DPS potential. Plague Marines are getting onto the Falcon, but the Raptors aren't tying up the Shuriken. Okay, they suppress it and now Heretics can get in there. Maybe going to lose the Raptors to the Farseer. Wow, very close. One more hit from the Farseer would have killed it. But not quite. Right now, the Heretics should be worshipping so that the Plague Marines can chase this thing. No, he's too busy trying to engage in melee. Should have worshipped. He's not thinking, is Naysmith. He's not thinking about the worship. Well, I don't know why Naysmith hasn't gone for the aspiring champion on the Raptors. That seems very odd. I feel like he'd probably have wiped a Shuriken there. The DPS increase is pretty incredible. You know, I can let that slide with the worship here. He's obviously not got his head in the game, he's just forgetting about this ability on the Heretics, but it takes a conscious decision to get Plague Marines and Bloodletters before getting your AC on the Raptors. And I don't understand that conscious decision. This squad becomes so much more effective with the aspiring champion. The Demonic Fury helps them solo Banshees, helps them get rid of that pesky Farseer, and he just does so much damage, and it's a nice boost to the HP. Strange decision not to purchase that AC, and he's still not doing it either. So maybe he's waiting for a vehicle right now. I'm not sure. The Dreadnought could be okay. It'd force one Bright Lance, I guess. He's got Bloodletters now, so forcing a Bright Lance would actually be pretty damn good. Should be quite easy to keep a Bright Lance tied up in melee if you've got Raptors and Bloodletters. But we'll see. Bloodletters are not really a very good choice if you lack Heretic worship support, so we'll have to see how that fares. One more Plague Marine missile will take out the Falcon, but the Banshees and the Farseer are going to try and prevent that. We do see a Kill the Weak coming in from the Chaos Lord there. And the Bloodletters coming out of their phasing once again. Banshee's only been level 1, makes them pretty damn fragile. We've got a little bit of a demonic summoning here. And that's going to slay the Farseer with the spawned Bloodletters, which can now just be thrown at the Shuriken. After all, they're free. And that will tie up one of them. Cannon needs to tie up the other. Both players going to tier 3. Relatively even on VPs. I feel like Naysmith has put on a little bit more pressure onto the natural of Sostenes than the other way around, and I guess that is shown in the VP differential here. I just find it baffling that Naysmith doesn't like the aspiring champion. Honestly, I don't like the default Raptors. These guys do more DPS than ASM, but they've got less HP, and arguably a worse ability as well on their jump. If I was going for Raptors, I'd do it for the bloody aspiring champion in tier 2, but this guy's got the Raptors and doesn't get the aspiring champion. It's very, very strange to me. And it turns out the Falcon has done pretty damn good as well, but I feel like a large part of that is the lack of Heretics here without using worship support. And once again, we've just got a slow waddling squad of Plague Marines walking up. And he hasn't utilised the combo that I talked about, the Plague Marine Missile Snare into the heavy melee aspiring champion. So it's very unsurprising that the Falcon actually is putting in some great work. Now, of course, we're in tier 3, so the Falcon can get that energy field, which is going to be quite challenging for Naysmith to take down. I mean, you think you couldn't kill this thing anyway? It's only got 550 HP, right? Well, it now has an extra 115 times 3.5, so we're talking a effective HP increase of over 50% on the Falcon. And the other beautiful thing is, it's regenning really fast as well, because energy is naturally 1 energy per second, so that's equivalent to 3.5 HP per second heal. And I think with the levels, actually, the Falcon will regen energy even quicker. So that's super powerful. Super powerful. Basically turns the Falcon into a tank. Still slower than a tank, and relies on more consistent damage than burst damage than a tank. But yeah, effectively a tank at this point. Raptors probably want to jump in here. Yeah, a little late on the jump. But the Banshees will get out with only losing, what, 1 model? Yeah, 1 model down.
Engines ready. Where are we
A little bit of a lull in the action. Got some Plague Marines flanking around the right. I don't know what their plan is, to be honest. I don't know if they're... I don't think they know themselves. Yeah, they're going to just rotate to the mid. Predator tank is going to be the tier 3 choice for Naysmith. Sostenes may even want to get another shuriken. Because having the dual shurikens right now is proving very valuable. I think he obviously is going to need a Bright Lance once the Predator comes out. But if he gets another shuriken, then of course he can get the Bright Lance and still retain double shurikens. What was that? Was that Heretics? Yeah, Heretics were mismicroed there, just went into base and got wiped. Raptor's putting on some good DPS. Dude, I'm telling you, Naysmith, if you had the AC, this would be a dead shuriken. Easy. Easy dead shuriken. I swear, these things would have killed about 3 shuriken squads if they had the AC, because of the extra damage that that guy does. He does like double the damage of a Raptor squad. You're talking an effective 60% of Raptor model, not a Raptor squad. You're talking a 60% increase in damage with the Aspirant Champion. You need to get that, my guy. Falcon getting a little bit brazen here, moving forward very far, getting hit by the snaring missile of the Plague Marines again, and then the Predator shows its face, and yeah, it's going to have to run. But it does get out of here just about. Banshees are now on the receiving end of that Predator, going to be bleeding a couple of models, but they get out as well. Naysmith wins the engagement. Now we need to claim the VPs. Farsight and a Webboy Gate down here could prove useful for Sostenes to keep him in the game. Of course, at this point, he has lost his natural. Plague Marines are going to be moving on to that. Bloodletters, meanwhile, they're going to be destroying the gates.
Engines ready.
We do have a Bright Lance. Of course, we don't see any tier 3 upgrades yet. It also would be kind of a no-brainer to get the Ashurian armor on the Farseer. That time field ability is, in my opinion, completely ridiculously overpowered. But we don't see that yet. Banshees, as expected, will go in, type the Plague Marines. It takes them a long time, though, to kill Plague Marines. This is the problem. Taking some pretty dirty damage there from the splash attacks of the cannon on that Predator. And yeah, Bright Lance is going to have to move up a little bit right now. Predator has the Mac of Corn, so it's doing a bit more damage. 75% more with the bolters, 25 on the cannon, and 0.5 extra movement speed. Just a good generalist upgrade, but it's still going to be very squishy. Technically in the Arc of Fire of the Bright Lance, I think line of sight blockers are a problem here though. Sostenes is not utilizing the Webboy Gate here, which is a little bit weird. So the Raptors are going to type the Shuriken. Another Plague Marine shot lands on the Falcon, but the Predator's too low. It can't take on the Falcon right now. The Falcon could literally turn around and kill the Predator. It's got too much durability with this energy shield right now. So Predator needs repairs. This is a thing, like, look at the Falcon. It's level 2, nearly level 3. it's gaining... Well, it's not gaining any energy right now because he's got the energy shield up, which is a mistake, but it's regenning that. It can regen that energy autonomously, whereas you have to have a lot of downtime on your heretics to repair the predator. And one of the problems for Naysmith is he keeps losing his heretics, so he has to keep rebuying these squads, which, yeah, they're basically just useful as a capping squad and a repair unit, and that's it. But a lot of resources for both players here. I wonder what Naysmith is waiting for. Perhaps saving up for a Phobos? Not sure. Great and Clean One probably would be the best choice right now. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, a Great and Clean One would be amazing right now. Amazing. He can just brute force his way through this Bright Lance. Really, you should have had the Shuriken at the front, the Bright Lance at the back, since Bright Lance has longer range. Just gonna get wiped by the Bloodletters there. Big misplay here from Sostenes. Finally, we see an Aspiring Champion on the Raptors. Uses the Demonic Fury, but it's pointless. The Farseer was not going to take that fight with the Predator there. That would have been madness. Yeah, and also not exploiting this webway gate, which is very weird. It would have gave him a lot of extra VPs. This is a weird play as well, right? Why did he just take this power instead of going straight for the VP? He has 437 power. Perhaps he feels like denying Naysmith the power is worth it, but you should probably know that's not the case. In terms of power expenditure here, Naysmith has not spent a lot, remember. Remember, he's never been buying the AC. He bought Plague Marines and Bloodletters in Tier 2, both of which are requisition-intensive purchases, and then he's just got one Predator, but we're really late in the game now, where Sostenes is basically able to buy a super unit. So you should have known that Naysmith should be pretty good on his power situation. Now, regardless, we're not going to be seeing a super unit from Sostenes. We're going to be seeing a Seer Council call-in and a dead Farseer. I'm not really sure what the Farseer was trying to do here. It looks like this is probably going to be a dead Falcon as well. The Predator should just charge forward and engage. There is a Bright Lance providing a little bit of fire support, but that's going to be a dead Falcon. Miss Micro on the Eldar's behalf, showing the rear of the Falcon, and the Predator then is able to slay it. Looks like the Chaos Lord was killed over here by the Seer Council. Naysmith not really using his Chaos Lord very well. It seems to have been basically a capping unit for the entire game. Naysmith, if you're going to do that, I would recommend playing the Plague Champion, my friend. Because he's just better by default, really. But, you know, Con Worship is extremely valuable. And the Chaos Lord's valuable as well. Get a Blood Maul, send the Seer Council flying. He's just mismicroing, clearly. Pretty nice little retreat grenade there. Feels unlucky that they only got one Raptor model. Seers were a really weird choice though, given that there is a Predator still, and yes, the Falcon does AV damage, yes, there was a Bright Lance, but I don't know, I don't think I'd have gone for Seer Council yet. I feel like going for a Fire Prism would have been necessary. Then you could get a Seer Council afterwards. Great and Clean One would still be good here. Whilst the Banshees and the Seer Council can output a lot of DPS on him, they're relatively squishy, especially when there's a Mark of Corn Chaos Spread nearby that's level 2, halfway towards level 3. Just use your big AoE Stomp with a Guo, that's going to do huge damage, and then get some disruption going with the Chaos Lord, perhaps with that Blood Maul. Should be easy to deal with this Eldar melee, really. Right now, though, he doesn't have anything like that, and he's just keeping the CSM in combat. They're going to get wrecked. Yeah, they do. So the Seer Council dispatched the CSM. Is that Guide? No, it's not Guide. Maybe if that was a guided Bright Lance, that would have actually got the kill on the Predator. Probably would have, but not quite. Oh, now it's Terminators. Are they going to get Lightning Claws? Probably, right? They should. As good as Stormbolter Terminators can be, against Seer Council and Banshees, it would only make sense to go for Lightning Claws. Dominate them in melee. Finally, we're seeing a little bit of play from the Webway Gate here, the level 4 Banshee's coming out, and he's doing it again. Is he gen bashing? No, dude. No, it's way too late for that. Way too late for that. When you're this deep in tier 3, Unless you really need the red or the XP for some reason you really want, well, you know, take the XP if the enemy lets you, but right now the priority is not XP, the priority is getting VPs. Sostenes now below 70 VPs to the 168 that Naysmith has. I would not be gen bashing right now. And he should know when he's got over 600 power himself. This is just a waste of time. Could have caught this earlier. Could have sent his Banshees back to base fully healed and then be back out to defend this VP so that he can continue his VP lead. Naysmith now going to be going for another Heretic squad. Logical. The last one died, apparently. I did not notice where they died. Probably in one of the big engagements. He needs the Heretic squad in order to repair his Predator. And he is keeping the Terminators just with their Stormbolters, which kind of crazy, not gonna lie. And the Predator actually walks forward and gets killed by the Primates. Oh, that was a sloppy move right there. Now he's bought a Heretic, which he doesn't even need. Yikes. Game is getting sloppy, folks. Well, this is Sloppy Saturdays. What do you expect? And the Farseer here with the Fortune armor, giving her a pretty fat amount of extra max HP and HP regen, plus Singing Spear. Easily able to take on the Raptors without their AC. The AC is coming, but it's going to be too late. He's got to get out of there, man. Yeah, they jump out. So this is good. They're retaining the natural of Naysmith, but they need to get their own natural back. Seer Council should be able to help with that. I'd say just get the Bright Lance onto that point now. Fleet the Guardians down here onto the mid, so there's something pressuring everything. Obviously the Guardians aren't going to be able to cap if they're under the focus fire of Chaos Terminators, but you don't know where the Chaos Terminators are right now. And the Banshee repurchase was really effective. Level 4 Howling Banshees right now buffed up by the Fortune. Definitely proving effective. Wipe the Bloodletters there. I don't know why the Chaos Lord, with his default shitty sword, which does 30 DPS, is in melee with Seer Council. This is a terrible idea. And he's now used Kill the Weak and he's still in melee, so he's probably going to die. Oh, I don't know what this is. Yeah. Kind of slaughtered. Now, did that Imperial Abyss kill anything? No, it did not. Guardians of Bright Lance forced to retreat. Chaos Terminator is going to get onto the point. Trying to do something in melee to the Plague Marines, but that's why they're Plague Marines, right? They're just friggin' impossible to kill. Might be able to focus fire the Farseer down if he used the Plague Marine damage over Time Bolters as well, but apparently he doesn't want to give that a go. Okay, I was going to say, I'm not sure if Naysmith is aware that there's a Web Brigade there, but he clearly is now. Kind of risky with the Terminators though, you know, there's potentially Seers and Banshees around. Oh, I guess he could technically see the Seers here with a Chaos Lord line of sight. And then the Banshees ran mid, so he does kind of know that both of the scary melee threats to actually deal with the Terminators in melee were nowhere near the Web Brigades. And now it's going to be a Fire Prism. I guess. I mean, it can deny VP caps, right? With the Dispersed Beam causing constant knockback. But that won't work against Terminators. I guess it's fine. There's not really any better choice. Oh, maybe an Autark. I think an Autark would be pretty damn good right now, actually. Well, either way, it's going to be a Fire Prism. I think I'd have gone for just Autark and Shurikens in the back lines to protect the VPs. Seers and Banshees should be more than sufficient to deal with these Chaos Terminators, and there's not really anything else in the comp that's scary right now. Plague Marines, they don't really do any decent DPS to infantry. Not sure why the Howling Banshees are coming out of base with so little HP. Looked like they had like 60% of their HP there. Massive miss micro here from the Eldar player. Throwing the Bright Lance into melee. Autocannons now up on the Chaos Terminators. So no Lightning Claws as I expected, but you can see that it's doing really well. For some reason, Sostenes can't get his melee onto the Chaos Terminators, which I find strange. because there's nothing really preventing it. Just a couple of crappy heretic squads. Nice summoning here to delay. It does lose 2 Plague Marines from it, but yeah, all that extra DPS from the Bloodletters is going to be very helpful. Curse Terminators now can get on the point. I like that play by Naysmith. Actually, no, I don't. I was just about to say, I like how he walked them down, and then he could cap the VP whilst they were facing this way, but he needed to hold down right click and rotate them up before capping the VP. Then the Terminators would shoot at anything that's running down, but he goes and just caps whilst facing backwards. Invalidating the point of that entirely. Nevertheless, I think this is going to be the end of the game. I don't think Sostenes could do much here. He's going to try and get onto the VP. He can't deal with this frigging Terminator, though. I think it's just in time for the decap. Yeah, just in time. Doom comes down on the Cursed Terminators that are going to teleport away, turn around and shoot the Seer Council. Yeah, and the screening there from the Aspirant Champion Heretic was quite incredible. How did the Aspirant Champion Heretic just proc a special on the Seer Council? I guess the Seer Council were moving, so they had reduced melee skill. They weren't fighting, they were trying to run through. Weird. Yeah, the focus fight here from the Terminators and the Plague Marine is going to take down the Farseer, and I think he just wins. Like, what's this? In Eldritch Storm on Terminators, they're going to quite easily just walk out of that. Most of it, anyway. Plague Marines can now just get onto the cap. The Webway Gate on the Natural was indeed taken out, so there's not really any tools available right now for Sostenes to use to stay in this game. As soon as Plague Marines cap, this is done. And of course you can't knock over the Terminators. You could knock over these guys with the Prism, but the freaking autocannon Terminators are going to blow up the Prism. Oh, he misfires anyway, shoots at the Terminators. He needs to shoot at the Plague Marines. Too late. GG. It wouldn't have mattered. At this point, he's lost. Like, these would kill the Fire Prism, could turn around, force off the Banshees, and they just cap and win anyway, so. Pretty good game, to be fair. Definitely very close. And yeah, what can I say? It was sloppy on both sides. Loads of mistakes either side. I'm trying to think of like key strategic errors. I don't know. I can't really think of key strategic errors for either side off the top of my head. Well, the one thing for Naysmith obviously was not getting the Raptor Aspirant Champion. I honestly think he'd have wiped like 3 Shuriken squads if he went for that. From the Eldar? I don't know. There were a lot of mistakes I pointed out throughout the video, so hopefully that is helpful. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. That is going to be all for this Sloppy Saturdays. Torpid signing out.